obviously, the message I'm teaching is that nobody has to have a heart attack. You don't have to have a stroke. You don't have to get demented when you get older. And yes, we can win the war on cancer, and everybody has the right to live between 95 and 105 years old in excellent health and avoid medical care. Right? And we have the worst healthy life expectancy in this country than all modern industrialized countries. The word healthy life expectancy means the quality of your life, not just how long you're going to live, but how much suffering you have in your later years. Whether you're in a wheelchair, whether you're stroked out, whether you can't walk, whether you're in pain, whether you're on medication, whether you're undergoing painful surgeries, how comfortable your life is, how much you enjoy your life. Because years ago, it's a myth that we're living longer than ever before, of course. Years ago, people lived about the same length of life as they did today. The myth is that we're living longer is because there was a very high infant mortality rate in prior centuries. And 1 in every 9 women died during childbirth. So it overall made the whole lifespan look much less. But the average male who didn't go through childbirth, obviously, lived the same as men live today, but their healthy life expectancy scores, or their lifespan and the quality of life only deteriorated the last 3 months of life. Now, the last 10 years of life, people have a life that's hell. So health is not better today, it's worse. But we have a huge amount of nutritional science and a huge amount of knowledge to put into action to give people an unprecedented opportunity in human history to live longer and better than ever before. And of course, everyone has the right to know the information. I'm going to present some information today. But there's a whole background of information that talks about medical care, the failure of medical care, the myths, the medical studies that are paid for by the drug industries, that's what's published in the medical literature is biased and wrong, and people really don't know that bypass surgery and angioplasty do not extend life. They don't understand that diabetic medications to control your glucose shortens your lifespan. They don't understand that blood pressure medications lower your blood pressure, causes atrial fibrillation, and increasing risk of sudden cardiac death. They don't understand that medications for rheumatoid arthritis and autoimmune conditions cause cancer. They don't understand that the whole basis of medical care is based on a premise which you give people a permission slip to continue eating a diet style that's committing suicide with food, and this says, go ahead, keep doing that until you inevitably ruin your health. Well, we never had medications, never had doctors. People would be forced, and doctors would be forced. Well, we wouldn't need most of the doctors. I'm convinced that if all the doctors in America, all of them, except for maybe emergency room doctors, quit medicine and just retired, everybody, the population would be much better off and have much better health. Because it's not just the harmful effects of what they do. Because I'm saying medical care is not merely worthless, because worthless is not a strong enough word. It's actually harmful. Harmful is worse than worthless, right? And when a person goes in to see a doctor and he gets a pill or a prescription, I call that a permission slip to do nothing. The doctors really take that person by the neck and say, you're committing suicide with food. Drop 30 pounds. Stop salting your food. Start exercising. Start eating right. You could save your life. Don't be diabetic. Don't have high blood pressure. Don't do all these. Don't commit suicide with food. But instead, we give them a pill. And they go out and live and continue to commit suicide with food. So it's not only that the drugs are bad. Well, anyway, I better get this lecture started. I'll never get finished. All right, let's go on to the lecture, okay? So here we go. This is about some basic information that I feel is important for you to have, some of the basics, mixed in with some advanced material. And so it's a combination of basic material and advanced material. I'm going to try to go through it rapidly to give you as much information as possible. Food gives us macronutrients and micronutrients. Macro means large. And there are actually 4 macronutrients: fat, carbohydrate, protein, and water is a macronutrient. That's the 4th one. But generally speaking, we're talking about the 3 main ones here, the calorie-containing ones: fat, carbohydrate, and protein. And we have to eat less macronutrients. We have to eat less fat, less carbohydrate, and less protein, because the less macronutrients we eat, the longer we live. But we have to get an adequate amount of micronutrients in the process. We have to meet our micronutrient needs. I call it comprehensive micronutrient adequacy, CMA. Comprehensive micronutrient. I want people to get all the micronutrients that the human body requires, and there are thousands of them. And the micronutrients do not contain calories. Now, of course, I know many of you have heard, and you've heard in the the conventional media and conventional health authorities tell people we want to speed up our metabolic rate so we can eat more food and not get fat. And they're going to give you all these things to speed up your metabolic rate. Isn't that what you've heard? Isn't that what's true? And I'm saying that's the wrong way of thinking of it. Because the faster your metabolic rate, the faster you're aging yourself and the shortening your lifespan. What we really want to do is we want to slow down our metabolic rate. We want to slow down our metabolic rate so we can age slower, so we can eat less and not get too thin. Did you follow that? Completely opposite of what people have taught. So I'm suggesting one of my basic equation, the basic formula, health equation I call it, is H equals N over C. That means your healthy life expectancy, how long you're going to live, the quality of your life in your later years, is proportional to the micronutrient per calorie density of your diet. H equals N over C. Predicts whether you can get pneumonia in later life, whether you're going to get cancer. That means we strive for a long life. The most simple, basic information you have to leave here with is you have to eat a diet with more micronutrients but less calories. And the basis of my work and my contribution to the field of science, of health science, is that I've shown and documented and tested and proven and published in the medical scientific literature that as a person eats a diet with a better micronutrient quality, their perception of hunger changes, they require less calories, and they don't want to eat as much food. Let me say that one more time. That it's not the topic of this lecture, but one of the things I talk about a lot is that when you achieve adequate micronutrients and you stop taking all the things that create toxins in your body, because obviously when you're eating foods that are low in nutrients, when you don't meet the body's needs for phytochemicals and antioxidants, you build up free radicals, advanced glycation end products, lipofuscin, aldehydes, and other toxic waste products in the cells that cause damage to the cell structure, damage to your DNA, and cause inflammation. And that damage, that congestion, those waste products in the cell, when you don't eat food for a few hours and stop digesting, that's called the catabolic phase of the digestive cycle, when you're not digesting food. That's when your body repairs and detoxifies most effectively. When you're not digesting food anymore, that's when you get your coffee withdrawal headache. That's when you're going to feel shaky and weak. And I'm claiming that what people think is hunger are withdrawal from their toxic diet. And they feel shaky, weak, headachy, stomach cramping, esophageal spasm, anxiety, fatigue, and they eat to feel better. If they're eating healthfully, they don't feel any of those symptoms. And they just feel, they just feel the desire to eat when they get hungry. And true hunger is felt in the throat. It's not a headache, it's not, and most of you are looking at me with this shocked look on your faces. And that shows me that you're all overeating. Because if you weren't, because you're eating, either your diet's poor and you're eating because you're getting withdrawal, like a food addict, or you're eating when you're not really hungry. And that means you're eating more calories than you require. And if you're eating more calories than you require, you're shortening your lifespan. At least once a day, maybe twice a day, you should be eating because you felt throat hunger. So H equals N over C means you eat a diet style that's higher in micronutrients per calorie. And when you eat a diet that's higher in micronutrients, you desire less calories. You're not as hungry. And your metabolic rate slows and your digestive efficiency improves. So you don't need as many calories to maintain your weight. Like I can go like skiing and do mogul skiing all day long, even skip lunch, and just bang down moguls all day. And then when I get back, my buddies that I ski with, they consume twice as many calories as I have to consume. I don't need as many. They got to stop for lunch and stock themselves up with all this food. I can carry some nuts in my pocket or something, or a banana in my ski jacket. I don't need to take in 4,000 calories a day. I can still maintain my energy and strength because I have more digestive efficiency and more biological efficiency. So I do want people to, and the amount of calories in your hunger is determined by how much exercise you do, and your hunger will adjust accordingly to maintain you at your perfect weight, so you'll always be the same weight your whole life and never put any fat on your body. Because hunger doesn't exist. It doesn't exist to put fat on your body. It only exists to protect your lean muscle mass. If you're eating outside of the demands for true hunger, then you're probably recreational eating or putting fat on your body. Okay, got to get back. Now we got to move forward. And the American diet consists of 62% of calories from processed foods, foods that have no micronutrients, no antioxidants. White flour, white bread, 25% of calories from animal products, 10% of plant foods, unrefined plant foods, but the 10% includes white potato. And white potato is usually consumed as a processed food, as mashed potatoes, French fries, and potato chips, right? And white potato is a high glycemic, low nutrient vegetable. It's one of the least nutritious of all vegetables. We'll talk about that as we go forward here. We couldn't design a better diet to create an epidemic of heart attacks and strokes and cancers had it been designed by the Taliban. So obviously most calories in America, 400 calories, they come from oil, flour, sugar, these foods that are biologically designed to cause cancer because they raise hormones that promote cancer, like insulin. Insulin is a fat storage hormone, and as you eat foods with a high glycemic effect that are processed foods, it makes a rush of blood sugar up, your body produces more insulin, it tells it to store more fat. Insulin is pro-angiogenic. The word angiogenic means it promotes the growth of blood vessels to feed the fat supply, because the fat's like a tumor. The fat has to secrete hormones from the fat cells, and the fat cells secrete estrogen, and they secrete inflammatory mediators and molecules. And they produce insulin in the cells, and the body produces insulin as well. And all these factors signal angiogenesis promoters, and the word angiogenesis means to promote the growth of blood vessels to grow into the fat, so the fat can be fueled with oxygen, nutrients, fatty acids, and glucose to grow more.